welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us this evening. We're glad that you're interested in the issues that go on in our cities. It's important for good government to have people like you that are following what's happening in the cities, and it's particularly important now during election season that you're following and starting to gather information so that you'd know who to vote for, because 8 of our cities have elections going on this year, and we're happy to be able to bring candidates from all of the 8 cities over a period of time so that you know what to look for and hopefully help you in deciding who you're going to vote for come November 4th. So we're glad that you're with us. And we're very glad to have 5 people here with us tonight. We have John Budziszweski from Crystal. And what ward or district are you in?
I'm in Section 2 of the City of Crystal. It's half of the city. It's wards 3 and 4.
Okay. And then Gary Goldetsky from Plymouth. And you are in what section of your city?
Ward 4, northeastern section.
Okay. And George Selman from Robbinsdale?
That's correct, and I'm in Ward 3 of Robbinsdale.
And Reva Chambliss, and she's from Brooklyn Park.
That's
and
correct.
What section of Brooklyn Park?
I'm in the East Ward.
Okay. And Elizabeth Dahl, who's also from Crystal, from a different ward. And what ward are you from?
I'm in Ward 1.
Okay, so we've got a lot of cities represented tonight, and we're happy to have you with us and have a chance to let our public know more about what's going on. We'll start with John Budziszweski. Oh, twice I got to do
you're doing
it.
great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But all of them know that was gonna ask them to introduce themselves out to you, our wider audience. So you have a chance to talk to the people from your section of Crystal.
Thank you very much. I'm John Budziszweski. I'm the council member from Section 2 of the City of Crystal. That's wards 3 and 4. It encompasses half the city, approximately 4,500 homes. I've been a councilman now since 2010, so this is my first term.
Right.
The nicest thing about it, I think, is that it gives me an opportunity to give back to the city itself. I have been active in the community in terms of road reconstruction issues. Most notably, I live on a street that borders Robbinsdale, and George knows me well. We've had some complaints about a road that's 660 feet long. I call it like the fastest quarter mile in the city. People tend to race down to the intersection and turn. So that's what got me involved in politics within the city itself. Not so much, the road itself, but just the speed issues, residential, the amount of children being on the street itself, and potential hazards and whatnot. So that's where it started.
That got you going into the whole process.
It did very much so. I went around the neighborhood, including Robbinsdale and also Crystal, and collected signatures on a petition. That petition itself was presented to the City of Crystal, and it also helped to change the format of how petitions are presented to the city going forward. So it obviously created some change within the city itself. So it's very nice.
And we're always encouraging our wider audience out there to get more involved. So that's an example of it.
Very good, yeah.
And then I asked you to think about issues about Crystal that are important to you during this election time.
Most notably for me is the issue of property taxes. We're coming out of a recession. We see that there's property tax reform that's happening at the state level, and it's important to me that we maintain a 0 tax levy for the city itself. I think that when you have a situation where the state is looking at property tax reform and looking at giving rebates back to the people, it's important that the city doesn't step in and basically more or less suck up that additional funding. Plus, also, there have been some individuals who would prefer to increase property tax issue. At a time, I think they're more rearward facing, looking out the rear of the car as opposed to looking forward in terms of the growth of the city itself. I think that that's an issue that needs to be addressed as well. And lastly, there's the County Road 81 tax levy. There's again, there's some proponents within the city council that like to keep that money and use that for the major building replacement fund. I'm opposed to that. It was promised by previous councils to return that money back to the people of the city, and I think that it's important that those promises are carried out. I think it's essential that you look at the history of the city and use that in terms of making your decisions going forward, and that's very important to me.
Any other issues that have come up
Oh,
that you've been
sure.
talking to people?
Sure. Two things most notably. If I am reelected, the one thing I'd work on is that's pretty near and dear to people's hearts is the train whistles. We do have some intersections that are they're not regulated,
Right.
and so therefore, if you have an opportunity to be able to drive around the crossing arms, then the trains will blow their whistles at those intersections.
Okay.
And so, if you're able to put a barrier down so that motorists cannot go around the arms, then you'll find that you'll be able to close off those intersections, and the trains will blow their whistles. And then, therefore, in terms of safety, the whistles are used for emergency purposes,
Right.
which is more of a warning. The way you want the whistle to be
Right.
used in terms of traffic, train traffic through those areas. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of additional train traffic nowadays, right?
Exactly, with the oil and also the
Yeah.
grain that on the old Sioux Line Railroad. Yeah. Do I have time for one more?
Sure.
Okay. The other thing is we have noticed that because of road reconstruction, that there has been like a traffic shift in terms of preferences of how they like to go through neighborhoods. We have some streets that are very busy,
Right.
have a lot of traffic issues on them, and I would like to address those specifically in terms of maybe limiting the amount of axle weight that's on those roads,
Okay.
because we have a lot of heavy trucks that are using that to access New Hope, for instance, or even other
Right.
parts of the city as well. So.
Okay, and then I want to be sure to give you time to tell people out in your part of Crystal why they should vote for you on November 4th.
Well, I think I have the most experience in terms of any of the candidates that are
Okay.
running. In terms of any of the new candidates, I've also have a background in commercial banking. I also understand finance. I've been active in participating in all the budget issues. I understand the issues in terms of the fiscal responsibility of the city itself, and I think I'm very upfront. I'm willing to look at the issue from all sides before making a decision. So I think that's something that's really quite unique to myself. So.
Right. Now, we'll move on to Gary Goldetsky from running for Plymouth City Council.
Yes, Ward 4. I've been a long-standing volunteer with the city of Plymouth. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I've been involved with the police department in several capacities over the past few years. I'm a psychological advisor to the Plymouth Police SWAT negotiators. I'm on their community emergency response team. I'm the chair of Plymouth Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. We have a very active program supporting service members and their families. And I'm on the Planning Commission. And I'm really not a politician, so I'm a clinical psychologist,
Okay.
but I've gotten very involved with the city. And when Ginny Black resigned
Right.
from the council, I thought, this would be something that I could do, and my skill being is
Right.
unique. I think that some of the issues involving Plymouth's been doing very well financially. We just got a financial report card from our city manager, and on most of the comparisons to other cities and to ourselves over a period of time, we're doing very well. We have one area of Plymouth that I think a lot of residents are very concerned with. That's the Four Seasons Mall that is now vacant and is in need of redevelopment.
Ah, right. And now we're moving into issues, just to highlight for people. So would that be probably the most important issue you hear from people?
I think that's the area that generates the biggest concern. Also, I think that maybe not coming from a lot of citizens, but Plymouth has some older areas.
Oh, right.
That I think the discussions for redevelopment, it's very ripe right now. And also some industrial sites that are probably were state-of-the-art when they were built, but now they're not necessarily competitive, or they won't be competitive in 10 years down the road, and there might be a good option to consider what could be, and some plans in that respect.
So what do you see happening with the Four Seasons? Where is it at, or what can you tell people about it?
Nothing's happening right now. It's really very separate from what's going on in other parts of the city that's being built and developed very nicely. So it's vacant. It's a blight, unfortunately, and a lot of citizens are concerned, and I think that they don't want it to spread in any
Right.
way. So it's unsightly. It's very atypical of Plymouth. But right now, there's nothing going
Okay.
on. No development that's been presented to the Planning Commission or the city. But I think that that's something that will have to be a focus of attention.
At some point in the future, right?
And we have some, the Thrive program, the Met Council,
Okay.
Thrive 2040, has some tough targets for Plymouth
Ah,
because our land is so expensive
Right.
to build on. It's hard to do some of the projects that are being suggested. And a variety of other issues that the Met Council has challenged us.
well, in the newspaper, there's been a few cities that are saying, wait a minute, before you go ahead, right?
I think that there's not just one city that's concerned about that.
Right. And now, any other issues that you'd like to talk about or you've heard of from people as you're door knocking?
I think that those are the big items. I think that people often have to be educated in terms of the financial markers that we're actually
Right.
doing well on.
Right.
But once they see the pictures and see where we rate in comparison to other similar areas or benchmark options, they relax
Okay.
that their money's being well spent.
Well, why should people in your part of Plymouth vote for you come November 4th?
You know, I wouldn't be involved with the police department if I wasn't very concerned about the health and safety of the area. And I've developed a very, very good relationship with the police department, the fire department, the community emergency response team, and other elements of Plymouth. So
Right.
I think my candidacy is just a natural step from what I was doing.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to being the next council member.
Okay. Now we'll move on to George Selman. George, go ahead and introduce yourself out to our wider audience.
Okay. Well, my name is George Selman, and I represent the 3rd Ward of Robbinsdale. And this is I'm just completing my 2nd term, and it's been an absolute honor. The citizens of the entire city are a dynamic and diverse group. And the one thing I really pride myself on is listening to them and asking them. I represent them. I don't just vote my ideas and my beliefs.
Right.
Sometimes if the greater number of people tell me to do something I don't necessarily agree with, that's the way you have to go. And I really think that's important in being an elected official. I've served on the council with other people that only vote their beliefs and don't listen to the people they represent, and that becomes difficult. I enjoy working with the entire council that is in place. We work well as a team. We've been able to get a lot of things done, and it's a wonderful experience. I've lived in Robbinsdale for 37 years. My wife and I are in our 2nd home. We moved a whopping 3 blocks away from our 1st home 12 years ago. And our daughters actually own homes in Robbinsdale with their husbands and families. And we all live on the same block on St. Avenue in Robbinsdale. So I get to see my 5 grandkids virtually daily. So it's real important to me that Robbinsdale not just survive but thrive for
definitely.
generations to come.
Yeah. And now we'll move into issues that you see happening in Robbinsdale and that are of concern to you or you hear from other people about.
Well, the big issues in Robbinsdale tend to not change, they're improved from when I started on the council. When I started on the council, the biggest problem far and away was rental properties. They were out of control, the irresponsible landlords, and that certainly isn't directed at all rental properties.
Right.
In my door knocking, I've run into over the years people that have been renters in Robbinsdale for 20 and 30 years in the same location, and they love it like it is their own home.
Right.
And they are certainly not the problem. But they want the problematic rental properties under control. And this became an extra large challenge after my 1st term of being elected because the economy went down quite a bit.
Right.
And it put a lot of pressure on the city because of the way local government aid was distributed from the state. It put a lot of financial pressure on Robbinsdale, but it also created a lot of opportunities. Robbinsdale, like the other cities, is in a pretty strong financial position. Our auditors and our financial team have earned the top bond rating a city our size can have for many, many years, and we're very proud of that, and our entire council, including myself, protect it very passionately. It allows us to do big things when we need to. You know, we've got some big infrastructure things coming up, like a water tower we need to replace in the next few years, and those are monstrous projects for a city our size.
Right.
And that financial health is crucial to our success. Getting back to the rental property, we passed a nuisance ordinance in Robbinsdale, and we really put the burden on the landlord. That if there's a problem, you know, people get a few strikes, and it's definitely structured so that if there's domestic abuse or health and safety issues, they don't count toward nuisance complaints. But if it's a barking dog, loud parties, or other things that continually come from the same properties that impact the quality of life people can enjoy their properties in, that's what it was designed for.
Right.
And other cities around the country have looked at this to try and mirror it in different ways to help them overcome some of these challenges. I really believe in property owners having rights, and it's a fine line to walk, where you take care of the people next door, but also protect the rights of the homeowner or the property owner. And I think we found a way to do that. And every landlord in Robbinsdale has to go through a training class.
Well, now I'm going to stop you now. Wish we had more time, but to give you time to tell the people in Robbinsdale in your area, why should they vote for you when they go in the voting booth on November 4th?
Well, I think my track record of service to the community over the last more than 25 years, I've been everything from president of Whiz Bang Days to president of the Lions Club, member of the Robbinsdale JCs. I too was a founding member of the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon group for Robbinsdale, Crystal, New Hope, and Golden Valley. Did it together, and I'm currently president of the EDA, which is a very exciting position to be in to help the economic development of our downtown, which is probably my second most important thing I would have brought up had I not bogged down on rental property. You know, we have a very cherished downtown, and our EDA is later this month is closing on the purchase of the former TCF site, which is a big percentage of our downtown storefront.
Okay,
and so we'll be looking at development for that.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to Rivas Chambliss, who's from Brooklyn Park, and give you a chance to introduce yourself out to our wider audience, and especially the people in your district.
Sure, thank you. My name is Reva Chambliss. I've been a resident of Brooklyn Park for the last 14 years, and I have a 23-year-old son. I think it's a great city, and I'm running for Brooklyn Park because I believe that our city is a great city. I volunteered a lot, and that shows that I really care about the city of Brooklyn Park. And I want to be able to use my skills, my collaborations, and my experience to help move Brooklyn Park forward.
And then after that, we'll touch on issues that you think are important for Brooklyn Park, particularly your district.
Sure. I've talked to a lot of residents in Brooklyn Park over the years and in door knocking, and they've told me what issues are important to them. As many people know, Brooklyn Park is a growing city, and it's a very diverse city. One of the most diverse cities in the state of Minnesota, which makes it a very vibrant community. What I would like to see for Brooklyn Park is that there is prosperity and equity throughout the neighborhoods of Brooklyn Park, and that Brooklyn Park can grow and develop into a destination place where people want to come, live, and work and play. And I think Brooklyn Park can do that by what I can offer is to offer my leadership to help redevelop the neighborhoods, the existing neighborhoods. And also we have the opportunity in Brooklyn Park where we have a lot of empty spaces and a lot of new land that can be filled. And I know that some of the empty spaces need to be filled, and that's one of the issues that I think as City Council I want to use my more than 25 years in business and experience to kind of help lead the charge in terms of making sure that we do redevelop our neighborhoods. We do fill those empty spaces, because when they're empty, we're not earning any tax revenue. And that's really important. That's one of the issues, is that we're able to grow our city and also to sustain it over the years. One of the other issues is that in our city, we have an image problem that I think is really not deserved. It's a great city. I've been door knocking from one part of the city to the next part of the city, and I can tell you, it's it's a very beautiful city. There are a lot of parks, recreation, people are very friendly, and you do feel safe. And that's why I'm on the Public Safety Task Force. And I'm involved in other areas of Brooklyn Park to ensure that we have the quality of life and working with residents and leaders to achieve that. I'm on the Human Rights Commission so that if people have issues, they can deal with that before it gets, you know, out of hand. And also I'm on the core strategic planning team, which I think all of those things, all of those positions were appointed, and I'm able to talk to the leaders, talk to the residents, and we can collaborate and come together with ideas. I will use my consulting skills that I've had over the years in business and industry, working in marketing and retail and banking, and currently I'm a business analyst working in the finance area. And I want to use those skills to help move Brooklyn Park forward, because I believe it can be a destination place where people come to live, work, and play, and I would like to use my skills to work together, listen to the people, find out what their needs are, and we can move forward.
Right. Now, anything else that you've heard from door knocking?
Well, a lot of people really want to make sure, in addition to having safe and stable neighborhoods where everyone feels welcome, I think that is very important, that people do feel welcome as we enforce our safety measures. People want to make sure that their property values are maintained. And that's what is important to them. They want to make sure that we have good jobs. And with the development opportunities that we have to redevelop and the new development that's coming in along the 610 corridor, we can really have that opportunity to grow jobs, and not only for the people that are local in Brooklyn Park, but for the people who want to come and find a job in Brooklyn Park and maybe even live there.
Okay. And now, why should people in your area of Brooklyn Park check your name when they go into the voting booth on November 4th?
Well, I think the city of Brooklyn Park would like someone who understands the issues, can articulate those issues, and lead the charge to problem solve. I've done a lot of consulting. I've had a lot of leadership and involvement in community over the last 25 years, being on the Community Engagement Initiative team, as well as working on various committees and various community initiatives. I think I would be a great leader with experience to help move Brooklyn Park forward.
We'll move on to Elizabeth Dahl from Crystal, and I'll let her start out by introducing herself out to our wider audience.
Well, thank you, Anita. Thank you for having me. I am new to politics. This is my first time running. I have lots of family in the area. When I came to Crystal, I came to family. So that's really what got me interested in Crystal politics in the first place. I have 10 nieces and nephews within 2 streets of me in either direction. So I'm very concerned about the future of Crystal and the future of my children and my family and my neighbors. As soon as I moved to Crystal, I had people, you go to the parks and you get to know people, and these families are coming in now, new fresh families, and it's just really exciting to see the new development in our city. And I think a lot of even the older generation is really excited about it too, because it just brings a vibrancy that, you know, maybe they haven't experienced in a while. Right. So I got interested in it for those reasons, and at this point I am getting more I've been more concerned about the responsiveness of the current city council, and that's very much why I got interested in running myself. I mean, it's not something you just think, oh yeah, I think I'm going to run for city council today. It's something that it came up. My neighbors actually asked me to do this because they felt that they weren't being heard. So that's why I'm running. Then
we'll move on to issues that you think are important for Crystal, and you've already sort of mentioned one. You might want to amplify that a little, and then any other issues that you're concerned about?
Well, let's see. I think the big issue, I'm running on responsibility and responsiveness. Those are the two words for my campaign, and I just really want to bring a voice for the people of Crystal to the city council. So when you have a problem, and you would be able to contact me, and I would be able to be that liaison, help you understand the issues that are going on in the current city council and help facilitate problem solving.
And then when you're door knocking, what have people mentioned to you about the city?
Well, it just, again, I'm not really a one-issue candidate.
Okay.
I'm very much not. I have heard, everyone has their own issues in their own neighborhoods. Every neighborhood's different. Every neighborhood has their own thing. I mean, my neighborhood, they've just gone through an assessment for their roads, and there's a lot of people that are not particularly happy how that worked out, where the money came from, and how they're being charged. So that's my neighborhood, but then I go on to other neighborhoods and I find out other things about dog parks and other things. And I just listen. I want to listen to the people of Crystal. I want them to feel like they can really come to me and that they have an advocate. Whether or not I agree with them, a city councilman, their job is to help give people the tools they need to solve the problems in their own communities. I'm not going to be able to solve all of your problems.
Right.
I'm here to help you solve those problems that you have.
And is there anything particular that you'd like to see changed in the council?
Well, again, it's really the responsiveness of the council, the current city council. I just hear it over and over again, and that's why I say I don't really want to get nailed down on one particular issue, because it's not one particular issue. It's like a lot of issues. I would go to city council meetings and I would see people walk away, and I'd go up and talk to them afterwards, and they'd tell me, well, I just didn't really feel like they really heard anything that I said.
Okay, now why should people vote for you in your district when they go on to vote come November 4th?
Why should they vote for me?
Right.
Well, again, I think the most important thing for a city council representative is whether or not you agree with them, you can work with them. And every city councilman has their own ideas. They might have their own agenda. But the important thing is that they're willing to listen to everyone else, and you're willing to take those little neighborhoods and look at each individual neighborhood. What are the needs there, and help facilitate movement towards improving those problems.
Okay, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of what I know is a very busy schedule at this point in time to come and share your thoughts and your ideas with our audience out there. And then we want to encourage those of you that are watching to be sure to gather information, particularly at the city level, because sometimes that doesn't get quite as much publicity as other levels of government, so that you will be ready to vote. And then if you have any questions about voting, go into the Hennepin County's website on elections, or go into the Secretary of State's website, and they'll be able to tell you if you're registered. They'll be able to answer lots of questions that you might have. So I hope that you're taking some time now during this next month to get ready to vote, and we're glad that you're with us, and we hope you'll join us again next week when we'll have some more members from other city councils. Bye.